She didn't mean to hear it, but Keisha froze behind a half-closed service door when the two white men whispered, "Once he takes a drink, it's over." Their voices were low, sharp, dripping with the kind of danger black workers learn to recognize in their bones. She clutched her tray tighter, breath catching as she realized they were talking about the billionaire standing just a few feet away on the ballroom floor. And they were planning to kill him tonight. If this already made your blood boil, hit like and subscribe right now, because stories like this are still happening and the world needs to hear them. Keisha stepped back, heart pounding in her ears. She shouldn't have been there. She shouldn't have heard any of it. But once you hear death planned in cold English, you don't unhear it. She slipped through the corridor, fingers shaking as she pulled a small folded note from her apron. She wrote only what mattered. Don't drink. Leave now. They know. Out on the ballroom floor, crystal chandeliers glittered over people who would never learn her name. A white billionaire in a tailored midnight blue suit, Chad, lifted his glass for a toast he didn't know would be his last. Keisha moved toward him, steps steady despite her fear. Just a housekeeper, invisible to them. That's what would save him. She, accidentally, bumped the waiter carrying the poisoned champagne. The glass tilted, spilled across Chad's cuff. Gasps rippled through the room. Her racist supervisor, Durant, stormed forward like a storm cloud exploding. "You clumsy girl," he hissed loud enough for guests to hear. "You embarrass us every time you breathe." Keisha bowed her head, hiding the tremor in her hands. Durant grabbed her wrist, dragging her back. That was her moment. As she stumbled forward, she pressed a folded note into Chad's hand. Quick, subtle, silent. Chad glanced down, read it, and froze. His eyes lifted slowly, searching for it through the crowd, as Durant yanked her away like she was trash. Chad set the untouched champagne aside. Then he walked up the stage without a word, straight toward the back hallway where Keisha had disappeared, the warning still burning in his palm. Keisha stumbled into the service hallway as Durant shoved her hard enough that her shoulder hit the wall. "You're done for the night," he snapped. "And if you pull another stunt like that, you'll be done for good." She didn't answer. She couldn't. Her entire body was vibrating with fear, and the words in that overheard conversation kept replaying in her mind like a warning siren. Someone powerful wanted Chad dead, and she had just interfered. Durant stormed off, muttering about useless staff and people like her, leaving Keisha alone in the dim corridor. The hum of the ballroom felt miles away now. Back here, the air was cold, honest, stripped of all the glitter. She pressed her hand against her chest, forcing herself to breathe. Footsteps. Slow, steady, deliberate. She turned. Chad was there. He didn't look like the billionaire from the headlines. Not anymore. His expression was sharp, calculating, and unnervingly calm. "You wrote the note," he said quietly. Keisha swallowed. I heard something I wasn't supposed to." "What did you hear?" His voice wasn't angry. It was controlled, almost careful. "Two men, back near the VIP lounge. They said once you drank the champagne, it would be over. They said you knew something about money transfers, emails." Her voice was thin, trembling, but she forced the words out. "They want you gone." Chad didn't flinch. "I believe you." That surprised her. People like him didn't believe people like her. Not in this world. Not in this building. Before she could process that, a small voice echoed from down the hall. Keisha, a boy, no older than 10, peeked out from the staff lounge. His tablet clutched his chest, headphones crooked around his neck. His eyes were wide, unsure, searching only for her. "Jay," she whispered, rushing to him. "I told you to stay inside." "I got scared," he murmured. Chad's gaze softened as he took in the child's worried face. "Your brother?" he asked. She nodded. "He has anxiety. Loud rooms overwhelm him. I keep him close on night shifts because there's no one else." Chad looked from her to Jay, then toward the distant ballroom where danger still buzzed unseen. "We can't stay here." Keisha tensed. "What do you mean?" "You saved my life," he said. "Now I'm saving yours. Both of you, come with me. Now." Keisha hesitated only for a second. Then she grabbed Jay's hand and followed Chad into the shadows of the back corridor, leaving behind the glittering ballroom and stepping straight into the unknown. The elevator doors closed behind them with a metallic thud, sealing out the music, the laughter, the killers disguised as donors. In the cramped silence, Keisha held Jay close, feeling his small hands tremble against her shirt. Chad didn't speak. He just stared straight ahead, jaw clenched, like a man who had suddenly realized every friend he ever trusted might be the one loading the gun behind his back. If this happened right in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you want justice as much as I do, hit subscribe. When they stepped out into the cold basement garage, the world felt heavier. Shadowed concrete pillars, flickering yellow lights, a cleaning cart abandoned in the corner, the kind of place where secrets go to breathe. Chad unlocked a dark SUV with a soft beep. "Get in," he said, holding the door open for Jay first. The boy hesitated only a moment before climbing inside. Keisha followed, nerves buzzing like electricity. Chad slid behind the wheel. The engine hummed low as they pulled out of the garage, leaving behind everything that was supposed to be safe. For a long minute, no one spoke. City lights streaked past the windows. Jay pressed his forehead to the glass, silently tracing shapes only he understood. Keisha watched him, guilt creeping into her chest. "I shouldn't have brought him tonight," she whispered. "You didn't have a choice," Chad replied. "And he's safer with you than anywhere else." She looked at him. "Why do they want you dead?" Chad exhaled slowly, a weary sound. "Because I found something I wasn't meant to find. Millions missing from programs meant for underfunded clinics. Fake vendors. Forged signatures. People high up in my foundation stealing from the sick and the poor." His grip tightened on the steering wheel. "I hired an external auditor. Quietly. Someone leaked it. And now they want to erase you," Keisha murmured. Chad nodded. "Clean and simple." She shook her head. "People like us, we hear things. We feel danger before rich folks even notice the room change. But I never thought I'd see something like this up close." He shot her a sidelong glance. "People like you? You saw enough to save my life tonight. I won't forget that." As the SUV turned into a narrow, dimly lit street, Jay suddenly whispered, "Keisha, where are we going?" Chad answered before she could. "Somewhere safe. A place no one knows about anymore." The SUV stopped in front of an old brick apartment building tucked between modern towers. Quiet, forgotten, invisible, just like them. And as they stepped out into the cold night, the truth settled over them all at once. This was no longer about a spilled drink or a slipped note. This was survival. Inside the old apartment, the air felt still, almost cautious, like the walls were holding memories no one had touched in years. Chad flipped a single lamp on, casting a warm, uneven glow across worn leather furniture and framed photos of a life he had outgrown. Jay settled on the couch with his blanket, curling into the corner like he finally felt safe enough to breathe. Keisha paced the small living room, arms folded tight. "I can't believe this is happening," she murmured. "You heard it yourself," Chad replied, setting down a stack of files on the table. "They won't stop." A knock landed on the door, short, deliberate. Keisha tensed instantly. "It's okay," Chad said quietly. "He's someone I trust." The door opened to a broad-shouldered man in a dark jacket, early 40s. Sharp eyes, the kind of presence that made rooms straighten themselves. He stepped inside and shut the door behind him. "Marcus Dean," he said, giving Keisha a nod. "Ex-NYPD. Now I handle problems people pay to keep quiet." Keisha blinked. "You handle corruption assassinations?" Marcus shrugged slightly. "A problem is a problem." He turned to Chad. "Tell me everything." Chad summarized it fast. The missing funds, the forged records, the overheard plot, the poisoned drink. Marcus listened without interrupting, without doubting, just absorbing. "Classic power sweep," Marcus finally said. "They remove the one man who can expose them, rewrite the narrative, then promote whoever plays along. I've seen it before." "And how do we stop it?" Keisha asked. "We expose what they did," Marcus said, "but not with rumors. with evidence, and with their own words. He reached into his jacket and placed a tiny device on the table. No bigger than a coin, matte black, silent. A wireless transmitter. Tap to activate. Picks up every whisper in a 20-foot radius. Keisha stared. And who's supposed to plant that? Marcus didn't hesitate. You. Her breath caught. Me? Why me? Because they won't look at you, he said plainly. To men like that, staff is invisible. It works in our favor. Chad stepped closer, voice softer. You don't have to do this, Keisha. She looked at Jay sleeping on the couch, small and fragile in the fading lamplight. She looked at Chad, whose life she'd saved with nothing more than courage in a folded note. She looked at Marcus, who believed in her usefulness more than her safety. Then she squared her shoulders. No, she said quietly. I'm doing it. Marcus cracked the faintest smirk. Good. There's a board strategy session in the morning. Off record. Quiet. Perfect place for them to talk freely. Chad handed her a catering badge with a new name printed on it. Tomorrow, he said, you go back into the lion's den. Keisha took the badge. Her hands didn't shake this time. The boardroom microphone crackled to life on Marcus's laptop, and Keisha felt her stomach twist as 8 powerful voices filled the small apartment. These weren't whispers now. These were confessions, arrogant, unfiltered, spoken by men who believed no one in the world could ever bring them down. Once Chad is gone, Preston Ward said, his voice smooth and cold, the transition will be clean. No scandal. No questions. Just a tragic loss people will mourn for a week. If you believe this should never happen again, share this now. And to my USA, UK, and Canadian viewers, your voice is power. Use it. Preston's words cut deeper as he continued. The funds are safe. No one outside this room knows. And that waitress from the gala? Forget her. She's nobody. Keisha's hands fisted at her sides. Nobody, she whispered under her breath. Chad sat forward, eyes burning with a quiet fury. They planned it all, he said. Even the narrative they'd feed the press. Marcus tapped the screen, replaying a section. They slipped up here. Listen. A different voice, older, gravel with entitlement, said, if he found the invoices, it means he saw the shell companies. Ward, you better hope your signatures can't be traced. That was it. Proof. A direct link. Marcus leaned back. This recording alone would shake the foundation. But it won't bury them. Then what will... Keisha asked. Something physical. Marcus replied. Documents. Inventory. A money trail they can't deny. Chad rubbed his forehead. There's something. A warehouse. Off-site. I was told it held overflow medical supplies. But I never approved any shipments. Marcus perked up. If the stolen equipment is there, we have our smoking gun. Keisha looked between them. So we break in? Not exactly, Marcus said. We slip in. Quiet. Fast. In and out before anyone knows we were there. Jay stirred softly on the couch, murmuring in his sleep. The sound snapped Keisha's focus. If we do this, she said, we do it right. No mistakes. No chances. Chad nodded. Agreed. Marcus opened a map on his tablet. It's isolated. 1 guard during the night shift. Surveillance on a loop. If we move before 2 a.m., we'll have a window. Keisha inhaled slowly. Then let's go tonight. Both men turned to her. You sure? Chad asked. She nodded. I've been stepped on my whole life. Ignored. Dismissed. Called invisible. Her voice steadied. But not tonight. Marcus zipped his bag. Then get ready. Chad grabbed the keys. And together, the 3 of them headed toward the warehouse that could expose everything. If it didn't get them killed first. The warehouse at the edge of an industrial graveyard. Rusted train tracks, silent factories, broken floodlights flickering against a moonless sky. Chad killed the headlights before they turned the final corner. The SUV rolled into darkness like it knew this wasn't a place for light. Marcus checked the perimeter through a pair of compact binoculars. 1 guard inside the office. Lights are low. No movement. He slipped the transmitter jammer into his jacket. We go in quiet. Keisha pulled her hood tighter, exhaling a thin breath of cold air. Let's get this over with. They move along the wall until they reached a side door half hidden beneath peeled paint. Marcus knelt, picked the lock in seconds, and eased the metal open with barely a sound. Inside, the warehouse air was stale, dust, oil, forgotten years. Their footsteps echoed softly as they slipped between towering stacks of crates. Chad pointed at the nearest label. Shipment dates don't match anything in our records. Marcus pried open a wooden crate with a crowbar. Inside, rows of medical equipment gleamed under their flashlights, untouched, unopened, and expired. Tens of thousands of dollars left to rot. Keisha lifted a sealed pack of surgical gloves. This could have been in clinics, in neighborhoods that needed it. Chad swallowed hard. They stole from the poorest communities, from sick kids, from cancer patients. Marcus opened a second crate. Oxygen tanks, diagnostic scanners, mobile clinic monitors. Millions in stolen supplies hidden in the dark. Keisha pulled out her phone. I'm recording everything. She walked slowly through the aisles, documenting each crate, each label, each forged vendor number printed on the sides. Her voice stayed steady, but her hands shook with anger. This is where the money went, not to the people who needed it, but here, in a warehouse full of silence. Chad opened another crate and froze. This one has invoices taped inside. He pulled them out, stamped with signatures exactly matching Preston Ward's. Marcus smirked. There's our match. But then his expression shifted. His eyes snapped toward the far wall. Lights! A pair of headlights swung into the lot outside. Keisha's heart dropped. Someone's here. Marcus doused their flashlights instantly. Move. Behind the crates. They ducked low as car doors opened outside. Heavy footsteps. Murmured voices. Not guards. These men moved with confidence. Purpose. The kind of walk that didn't fear consequences. Chad whispered, Ward's people. A shadow passed the warehouse window. Another footstep. Then the metal door screeched open. Marcus hissed, back exit. Now! They slipped between crates, keeping low, moving fast but controlled. Behind them, voices echoed through the dark. Spread out. He has to be here. Keisha's pulse hammered. They reached the rear exit. Marcus kicked it open, and the three of them burst into the freezing night air. They sprinted toward the SUV as a shout erupted behind them. They're running. Chad hit the ignition. Tires screeched. The SUV shot forward just as armed figures spilled out of the warehouse. Bullets cracked the air, sharp, violent. But the SUV surged onto the road, disappearing into the night before the men could aim again. They had the proof, and now the board knew someone was coming for them. They didn't stop driving until the city lights disappeared behind them, and the roads turned quiet enough to hear their own heartbeat. Marcus kept checking the side mirrors, making sure no one followed. Chad drove with both hands locked on the wheel, jaw tense, eyes sharp. Keisha sat in the back with Jay wrapped in her arms, the boy drifting in and out of sleep as if sensing the weight pressing on all of them. When they finally reached the safe house, an old cottage tucked behind tall pines, they moved quickly inside. No talking, no lights near the windows, just silence, heavy and thick. Marcus set the locked case of warehouse evidence on the dining table. We need to get this out now, he said, before they rewrite the story. Chad nodded and pulled out his phone. Renee will take it. She won't be intimidated. Keisha watched him dial, her pulse hammering as every second ticked by. When the investigative journalist answered, Chad spoke fast but steady. We have everything. The shipments, the invoices, a recorded confession. He paused. No, it's worse than we thought. Marcus opened the case as Chad talked, laying out the photos, videos, documents. Each one a nail in the board's coffin. Keisha stepped closer, staring at rows of expired supplies that could have saved so many lives. They stole hope, she whispered. That's why this will hit harder, Marcus said. People don't forgive theft of life. Renee arrived an hour later with her camera crew and 2 legal advisors. quiet professionals who knew how to dismantle powerful men. She spread everything across the table, eyes sharp, voice steady. "This is enough," she said. "You're all about to blow the lid off one of the biggest frauds in the state." The next morning, the story went live, not on some shaky anonymous blog, but on one of the biggest investigative channels in the country. Footage of the warehouse, scanned invoices with Preston Ward's signature, the boardroom audio where they discussed Chad's tragic exit, photos of unopened medical crates meant for dying patients. Shockwaves hit instantly. Within hours, the Attorney General launched a formal investigation. By afternoon, Preston Ward and 2 board members were arrested. By nightfall, the foundation released a statement clearing Chad of all accusations and naming Keisha as the whistleblower who saved his life. She didn't know how to react. People like her weren't supposed to be seen. But today she was. Chad approached her outside the safe house, hands in his pockets, eyes tired but grateful. "You didn't just save me," he said softly. "You saved every person they stole from." Keisha looked down at Jay, who held her hand without fear for the first time in days. "We saved each other," she said. The 3 of them stood there in the cold morning air, finally breathing without looking over their shoulders. Share this story if you believe justice must always win. And subscribe for more real, raw, racism-exposed stories.